So what do you do when you've already been the hero? I mean, you fought the final battle, you saved the world, and you finally earned your peace. Well, for one young man, the world he saved came calling again. But this time, the great evil threatening to burn it all to the ground was the best friend he thought he'd lost forever.
All right, before we dive in, if you enjoy stories like this, do me a huge favor and follow the channel and share this with a friend. It really helps us grow and lets me bring more of these to you. Okay, let's rewind the clock. Let's go back 5 years to a world our hero thought he'd never see again.
Meet Kyle. Now, in the fantasy world of Vidia, his name is basically legendary. He's the hero, the guy who stared down a demon king and won. But that was 5 years ago. These days, his world is a lot smaller. His biggest battles are navigating high school hallways, trying his best to forget what a sword feels like. He traded epic quests for a normal life, thinking the story was over. Oh, he couldn't have been more wrong.
So, picture this. 1 second, it's just the smell of chalk dust in a quiet classroom. The very next, a blinding light just rips him, Lena, and their entire class right out of their reality. And it's not a gentle landing, nope. They're dropped straight into the middle of a war zone back in Vidia, a world that is just screaming in chaos. All that peace Kyle fought and bled for, it's gone. For his classmates, this is pure terror. But for Kyle, this is a nightmare he thought he had already escaped.
So while his classmates are suddenly being celebrated as these newly summoned heroes, Kale makes a big decision. He's gonna hide his power, all of it. He's just done. He's been the hero, he doesn't want it anymore. He just wants to be normal, maybe protect his friends from the shadows, and let somebody else have the spotlight for once. But as he's watching this war play out, there's this nagging feeling, this terrible familiarity. The scars on this world, they feel personal.
And then Kale spots something that makes his stomach drop. The monsters fueling this war, they're not just random creatures. No, they're crackling with a dark, corrupting magic, an evil energy that he recognizes with this just sickening jolt. He knows this magic. He's felt it before, right at the end of his last battle, 5 years ago.
And that's when the floor drops out. Because this specific, twisted kind of magic, there was only one other person who could ever wield it. Joric, his best friend. The same friend who was summoned with him all those years ago, the same friend Kyle thought had died in that final battle. It's impossible, it makes no sense, and yet the evidence is right there. How could Joric be alive? And if he is, why would he be the one trying to burn this world down?
Okay, so Kyle knows what he has to do. He leaves his classmates where they'll be safe in the capital, and he just vanishes. He sets off alone. He needs answers, real answers, and he knows he's not going to find them fighting on the front lines. He has to become a ghost, pull at the hidden threads of this whole thing, and figure out who's really the puppet master behind this strange, almost fake-feeling war.
And what he finds is, honestly, it's staggering. It turns out the whole war is a sham, a lie. The battles? They're basically staged, designed for show. And get this, one single company, Terran Trading, is making a killing by supplying weapons to both sides, and anytime it looks like peace might actually break out, whoops, a bunch of cursed monsters suddenly appear out of nowhere, forcing everyone to keep fighting. This isn't a war, it's a performance.
So the trail leads him all the way to the Demon Nation, right in the middle of a forced wedding. It's this big political sham designed to basically enslave their empress. KL, of course, crashes the party. He shatters the whole ceremony, ready to expose the merchant pulling the strings, but he knows this guy is just a pawn. His eyes are already scanning the shadows, looking for the real king on this chessboard.
And when Kyle finally finds him, the real puppet master, the one bankrolling the whole operation and conjuring these monsters from thin air, his absolute worst fear comes true. It's him. It's Joric, alive. And not just alive, he's been twisted into something unrecognizable by the same darkness they once fought side by side.
So, there they are. In this crumbling throne room, everything a wreck from the wedding Kale just ruined. He's finally face to face with Joric. But the boy he knew, he's just not there anymore. In his place is this king of shadows, just radiating rage and this deep, deep sadness. And the reason for all of it, all this destruction, it's tragically simple.
And that's when Joric just lets it all out.
His voice echoes through the ruins, but it's not some villain's monologue about power or taking over the world. No, it's a cry for Kale. He says he will burn the entire world down, destroy everything Kale loves, until the only person left for Kale to protect is him. He's started a war, just to get his best friend's attention again.
And suddenly, it all makes a terrible kind of sense. You have to understand, back during that first war, while KL was this shining hero, Joric was always just in his shadow, the hero's friend. And as KL found new allies, new people to rely on, Joric just got lonelier and lonelier. And that's when the darkness found him, a cursed artifact whispering in his ear, preying on that envy and twisting his need for his friend's attention into this monstrous obsession.
So, that's it. That's the big reveal. The war was never about land. It wasn't about power or revenge. It was all a desperate, tragic, world-ending tantrum thrown by a lonely kid who just wanted his best friend to look at him again, even if he had to become the villain to make it happen.
So Kale is standing there, faced with this heartbreaking truth, and he has a choice to make. He could end it. He could strike down the monster his friend has become and be the hero all over again. But he realizes that's not why he's here. His mission this time wasn't to save the world. It was to save his friend. He missed how much Joric was hurting 5 years ago. He's not going to make that same mistake twice.
So Kale draws his sword. It's a legendary blade named Gluttony, and it has this terrible power. It can literally devour magic. But he doesn't point it at Joric's chest. No. He aims it at the curse itself, the dark energy that's been poisoning his friend for 5 years. He unleashes this forbidden power, not to kill, but to heal, like a surgeon cutting out a cancer.
And just like that, the darkness shatters. The monster is gone, and all that's left is Joric, just a boy, weeping on the floor, finally free. Kale didn't save the world this time. He saved one person, and for him, that was the person who mattered most.
But the story doesn't quite end there. Joric, in a final act of atonement, uses the very last of his magic, not for himself, but to open a portal and send all of Kyle's classmates safely back to their own world. And then, he chooses to stay in Vidia. He gives up his magic, choosing to live a normal life to pay for everything he did.
So, in the end, Kyle did it. He saved his friend from the darkness, but he couldn't save their friendship. That was a casualty of this war. They could never really go back to who they were. It's a hard truth, isn't it? That even in a world full of magic, some wounds, they just can't be healed.
If this story hit you or maybe made you think, please share it with someone you think needs to hear it. And make sure you're following for more stories just like this.